Hi, David.
Hi, Sarah.
I'd like to ask you today about matter. Matter is a word that you use a lot, and you didn't used to use it, so I know it's something that's come more into your work recently. And there's something very fascinating about it because I know that it somehow also connects with the meaning of matter, like something matters. Like we
It
could,
does.
and I wanna get a sense of what you mean when you talk about matter, so that we can all just start to sense it, get a sense of it.
Okay, well, this will be interesting.
I had a feeling it would be interesting, probably quite challenging to talk about, but why
Very,
not?
very, very, very challenging, actually.
It's a subtle thing, isn't
Because
it?
because matter, we generally think it's like we're going to get out the microscope and just look at matter. Yeah,
Which is just material, pure physical stuff. That's
pure,
how we
pure,
normally think of it.
yeah. Or perhaps even if we go into quantum physics and we're talking about space matter and that
Oh,
and that
see, I don't even talk about space matter. I guess I don't go into quantum physics, so I don't even have
yes.
that language.
Okay, so we won't go into that, but um, what I found is most matter is really like the rest of everything else we have, and it works. It can be easily influenced, and it can be easily created. Okay,
So it's
so
a some. I'm going to be really have to be basic here at times.
uh, yeah,
It's a
I'm,
kind
I'm
of a
happy.
something, but it's not the physical something.
Well,
Yeah.
well, mate, imagine matter as a soup, an energy like a particle soup.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a particle soup. It doesn't have
Yep.
any energy. It has nothing. It's just sitting there like a big particle soup. Okay, and it's waiting for us to come and do stuff with it.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but we can either create matter ethically or we can create matter unethically.
So we create it,
Well, we do, and we also connect creations of matter.
which has been created by other somethings.
So imagine, say, matter that has no spirit in it, because there's like a diversity of a spirit matter. There's a consciousness matter because we have all different types of spirit, all different types of consciousness, all different types of physical matter, which, if it's created with spirit and consciousness, then that physical matter has um, some purpose generally other than taking. Okay. Because often certain matters are created only out of want, not need. Or, but it also means that somewhere along there, it needs to get into life. It needs energy, and it's actually an energy matter.
So is it kind of like stuff that things can be made out of, so to
Yeah,
speak? So when you
basically.
put consciousness, which puts intention, and you put energy, which gives movement and
Yeah,
connection and things. When you put it all together, the matter becomes something that's alive. It's like the raw, inert
yeah,
material of the
yeah.
universe.
It's like, well, or even you could say functional matter.
Hmm.
So, but there's so much matter that has corrupted intentions attached to it, sort of too.
Because of the consciousness of people who've played with it in the past or
Yeah, or
created it or whatever.
lack of ethics, lack
Yep.
of consciousness, um, and power too. Because if it uses universal energy, then it's more one that is going to be eternal. But if it's more of a physical matter, it's one that needs people's matter to contribute all the time so it can fully exist. Yeah, otherwise it will cease to exist. But it's one that also uses can, but while where it gets a little bit tricky is that sometimes some matter is created by um, unaware. I'll, I'll just say unaware physical people, if you know what I mean. And then when they cross to the other side, they desire that to keep on going. Yeah.
Here, but they desire it to keep on going here. Is it like a
Yeah.
kind of legacy of their life,
Yeah.
almost?
So it's like where people, when you're coming, you don't, um, instead of being able to use all that you should be able to use, um, usually, and create the life you want, you end up sending your power and your energy to these energies that really we shouldn't even be worrying about, you know?
Wow. So, can we create matter with our minds?
There is a mind matter. Um, Basically, we've got to use all these different equations to create the matter. Um, but yeah, basically, you can create it
Well, I
with your
guess the mind has some input into it, doesn't
yeah,
it?
but it's like a universal mind. You know what I mean? It's like you start with your spirit, you add your consciousness, yeah, you add your light body to make sure that you connect to universal energy so that it works properly and has complete ethics,
But
so
some
that
people
it's
maybe,
always neutral.
but
So
some people
yeah,
don't. The spirit's not strong, and their consciousness is low, but they can still create matter. Is that right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
anybody. So it's a
I
tricky
almost
thing.
don't know what questions to ask. It's fascinating, and I know there's a whole lot more. And it's like, oh, what do I ask about here? What's it really for? Like, what's its function?
Well, in the end, we are matter. Yeah,
So it forms the material that we are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We
It's the
are.
particles of the
We aren't.
material.
We aren't. We aren't just energy. We're energy matter. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a kind of pure energy, which is the movement and the vibration, and then there's the energy matter, which is the kind of shape and the formation
Yeah.
of energy into
But
things.
it's always there in the universal energy. Okay. And it's a bit like converting it, I guess. But you still got to do it in foundations. It's like it becomes this, and then it comes that. It
Like
doesn't
building
just
blocks.
yeah. You got to use building blocks with it. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like um, the secret where you think, oh, I'm going to put an energy. I'm just going to put a photo of something on the board, and then hey presto, out of thin air, it's going to come.
So when I talk about, I often talk about a materialization, and also I talk about and teach people how to speak things into being.
Yeah,
Is that seems to me that we're somehow working with matter there in some way, where
that's
just
correct.
by talking about things, it becomes
And when
material.
yeah, and the more the more we use neutral energy, and it collates to neutral matter, then it's got more a chance of happening. You know,
Yeah, I
and
do see that.
like when you heal, you have to heal not just the energy of certain things. You don't just heal the spiritual. There's so many like when we're healing, there's so many different aspects, things that we need to do because we have to know that the person's spirit is just their spirit and not something else because so many people have got no idea. They've got so much spirit attached to just about
Yeah.
everybody. And it's the same with consciousness, if we don't use it, then it's it's like what's the saying? We love you a long time. It's like you become very easily corrupted, and like all this different consciousness of everybody else is sort of loved on us, and it's the same with energy. We all know when we've been around crap energy, and it's like sucked it all up, sucked up all the the corrupted consciousness spirit, and then it takes on different forms of energy, and then that's what becomes the matter, you know.
So I'm not sure if this question is related, but maybe it is since it's coming up. When I look around at people, there are
Mm-hmm.
many people whose lives are really quite dysfunctional. It's a very difficult for them, I think, to live in a way. There's so
Yeah,
much chaos in their life, and every time they try to get established or try to get some order into it, something chaotic happens again.
that's
And I,
basically, yeah.
yeah,
So we've, you know how when we've said in when people are highly sensitive, you know, you got all these, you know, you're really aware of your spirit, you're really aware of your consciousness, you're really aware of certain parts of physiology, different parts of energy, power, and even matter for that matter. And they're all this big modge podge of, and we haven't even really gone into all the different energetics and how people connect. And I mean, that's just another little minefield, but there's all these different components. But if we go bang, 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 and try and use them as we go through, it's out of date before we even get to use it. Because by the time you've gone through all these different diagnostics of trying to sense everything, sometimes it's too late that you've missed the opportunity. So you're trying to create something, and then it's like, oh, I've missed it. I've
and
missed
that's
it.
because none of the systems are working in
Yeah,
sync with each other.
no, no,
That
yeah,
alignment isn't there,
yeah,
and so
and
they
all the different
can't get it
matters.
together.
Yeah, and the matters won't gel because they can't. It's like you look, the nucleuses might, but all the membrane, they just basically, it's like looking at a jellyfish that spits each other out, and they're non-cohesive.
Okay, so it really that question really is related to this topic about matter because it's
Yeah, and
like those
it's
people
the same with
can't
everything.
materialize what they want to happen in life because they can't bring all the pieces together that create a coherent materialization that is something you actually want to experience. So they
And that's why,
materialize
and
a bit here and a bit there, and then it all fights with itself and it makes a horrible mess.
that's right, and that's why some people. I mean, we all have different areas where we're different demographics that we're all good at. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
if you know we're all good at different things, which is why it makes sense to work as a collective, if you like, more than
yeah.
just on your own. But
So that actually brings me to my next question, which, again, when I look at people living in a lot of chaos like that, it sometimes feels so difficult for it to change. Like it would take so much. Is there a way that as a collective we can help to create a more regulated environment for people so that that
it's
chaos becomes less
because
dominant
most
in their
people
lives?
don't use their spirit. You know, it's like, and they don't use their consciousness. They really don't use their consciousness. Like if you
But
can
they
think,
don't know how to. Like it's not really
no,
their
no, but
fault, is it?
that's why we're here. But you know, it's so frustrating that everybody doesn't you that everyone thinks spirit is just this um hocus pocus bloody shit
Kind
that's
of la
got
la la.
tra la la, oh, don't worry, my beloved, one day you'll understand. Well, those days are over. It's like you have all these different types of spirit. You got a soul, you got a heart. Yeah. Well, bloody use it. Like,
But that's what I keep talking about engagement. I like it when people are
yeah,
really engaged. It's like they're using all of themselves. And I see that
they
most
are.
people are trained not to do that. It's like they're just trying to
No.
slide along on the surface and use as little of themselves as possible. It's like they'll feel they'll get tired or something if they engage, but it's the
And a
opposite.
lot of people are very hesitant. It's like they've been um, almost trained not to use their spirit. It's like
Yeah.
um, they're they're relying on someone else to do all the oh, don't listen to that because you might become independent and then you're not dependent on me anymore. Yeah. but that's the whole thing. When you learn how to use your spirit, you don't become um, head washed, or you're going to go walking around in robes or anything like that. It just means you become independent. You can get out and do what you need to do. And then you can use your consciousness. You can use your spirit. You can use all the different types of energy. And hey, then you start to use that universal energy, and that matter is cohesive then. And then that's how the good stuff happens, because there's so many types of matter. And as you know, if they're not cohesive, then they can become very disruptive, or we create them very quickly, and then we get a lot, and then we end up with nothing. Yeah,
Yep.
because
Yep.
you're attracting a lot of people to come and take. So if you don't have the consciousness, whatever you create with your matter, people are just going to come and take and take and take. Yeah. So it's all about ethics as well, too. You know.
And does the wider environment, like the more people who learn how to be more engaged, to use their consciousness and their spirit more, and to materialize, to create with matter in a more coherent way, does that influence then the other people who perhaps are not
Yes.
learning but are in
Yes.
that energy field, for
And
example?
that's a good thing. By
Yeah.
you just being responsible for all these different things, you create different conversations in everyday circumstances. It's not like you're asking it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like
And
everybody
those
who,
conversations, those are
yeah,
not just talking conversations, those are
no,
conversations that happen between our energy, like subtle conversations that happen between us, so that we start to share stuff with people.
mm,
They don't even know maybe that they're looking for it, but
that's
they're
right.
like their energy's looking for it, or something's looking for it, and then when it
Because
finds it,
everybody is, I mean, we're all, everybody in a way is really highly sensitive. Yeah.
yeah,
But it's these sensories, when you're not using them, you're not having a you're not having like a collective conversation with other people about them. It's why people have, I know some people say it's all vibration, that, but it's not really just vibration. It's or a low vibration, because it's more about how you use your certain types of spirit, how you use different types of light. There's so many different things, and if you don't use those sensory powers, then we just trundle along, and life seems very, very, very dull. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
So,
it's missing
and,
something.
and our matter, is just, it's, and there's one, as I've said before, there's this one law. If you do not engage the energy, the power, the spirit, and the consciousness, it's just going to sit there. And we all think just because we're living that our matter is moving, and all the other different types of energy that we have are actually moving. When we look at certain bodies, man, you guys just look like hedgehogs that are all not using masses of all these senses. And if you aren't, then what you're doing is basically sucking up what somebody else is telling you that they want, and then you create wanty matter.
So, so what I'm seeing
You
is
just create want matter rather than needed matter. Yeah.
yeah. So what I'm seeing is that when that happens, so your matter is is rather inert. It's not very alive because you haven't engaged with the
No,
spirit and consciousness and
no.
energy. That's actually when it feels like nothing matters and life
That's
doesn't
right.
matter.
Exactly. That's right.
When the matter is fully engaged, is fully enlivened, then the right things matter. It's like everything falls into
Right.
place, and so that then aligns with purpose or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it's
Matter
like
matters.
matter matters.
Exactly. Matter matters. It might seem like a play on words, but it's damn all right. You know,
Yeah.
if if you're not using that matter, then you're not really engaging all these different things that are going on in life. You know.
Well, I feel as though in a rather short time, there's almost like a layering of information that's been shared in this. There's a huge amount of information that's been shared, and we've actually come to that point of understanding why matter matters. I realize that listening to this, it doesn't tell you what you can actually do about it. But as you say, David, that's why we're here. We actually have to show people how
Right.
to do these things. That's what you spend all your time doing. But I'm very grateful because I
Well,
started, as I
everybody,
said, not knowing what to ask really, and I feel like I've actually got some clarity out of this.
but everybody has this individuality, and everybody's different at using matter in a different way. So as long as you're using it ethically, that's the thing, and that's why things that are more like I don't know, like a collective. When you get groups of people all together and they're all working to help, humanity on some scale. That's why they generally work. And that's why workplaces, they're all happy. They're all. It's not just about you know workplaces who are they have ethics about how they do things. Then they're creating that. Then everyone's
Then
more content. You know what I mean? You
because
create.
there's a kind of collective creation of matter, so it's
Yeah,
actually doing something that matters, which you
that's
do
right.
as a group, and then you're all contributing to it and you're all benefiting from it.
That's right. And like you can sort of see that changing because we're all starting to move away from fossil fuels and all that sort of thing. I mean, that's only because you could say it's. I mean, it's it's about. You could probably say, yeah, it's all about. Everyone knows that we've got to find something different because we're going to run out of oil and everything. But also, it does mean that we can find we can find a better way to do things. We're all evolving.
So there's another question now that's coming up, which is about, does matter as we evolve become lighter, less dense?
It it works totally differently. Um, it doesn't so much. Yes, it becomes more dense, but it becomes more useful. So when you look at energy that has um, the matter that is really working properly, it's like you look into the nuclear, and it's like it's not like something everyone's used to seeing under a microscope. Works completely and utterly differently. And same with the membrane. It's like all these different layers that people can't see yet, but I hope one day everyone can. And there's all these different areas that are actually moving that people don't see, and they can. And when you use those, it's like a multi-dimensional nucleus, and same with your membrane. So they're all moving and collating, and it's
So actually, as we
it's a
evolve,
little bit, it's also a little bit like when you see the atom thing, with all the different rings and all that sort
oh
of thing.
yes.
So that is sort of like a really um, unimaginative version of it, I guess,
So actually, it's
because you've got
not
to
that.
multiply that by billions of times, and that's what you get.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, as we evolve, it's not that matter becomes lighter, but it moves more. Its
It's more
movement becomes
progressive.
richer and
Yeah,
more multidimensional.
yeah, yeah. It's so many multiple layers, and it's interesting. Like I see it in all types of work where they're using all these neutral things. And I saw another one the other day where what was the woman doing with it? Something with hormones and something, and she found this neutral something or other that she was using, and allowed it to all basically collate and do all sorts of amazing stuff. And that's the thing, neutral energy. It's honestly, it does amazing stuff.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. That was really
I don't
enlightening.
know if I've made everything clear, but we're trying to make matter matter.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's clear or unclear. That doesn't seem to me to be the right thing to look for, but it's something has come out of it. I feel like there's an appreciation of something that I didn't have before that I have
I
now.
think
And
everybody just needs to know that when it comes to matter, where matter is just another part of the building block. Like we've got this massive foundation of stuff, we have to use all those foundations all together, and matter is like the end component that we get. So, and we've got to
Yeah,
use
and
them
that's one of
together.
those things, of course, that is so important is that if we don't engage with that, life feels a bit empty. It's that thing where you can't just be spiritual and not deal with matter. You can't just be matter and not deal with the spirit. It's when the whole lot comes
Yeah.
together
And you
that
can't
life
just keep,
really
yeah, you
works.
can't just use energy. It's like just focusing on the vibration, frequency, tone, harmonics, and then you're only using like a physical version of it, which is like really does not much.
Yeah.
You look at a light version of it, and it's massive.
Okay, well, I can see we've got a lot more to talk about. So I'm going to draw a close there and say thank you. Leave it for another time. Thanks, David.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.